Hello and welcome to Understanding Astrology and Psychology Bridge series. In these series of videos, we are going to uncover the hidden layers between understanding the 9 Enneagrams in the Enneagram system of psychological evaluation, which has got 9 basic archetypes, bridging with the 27 Nakshatras in the 12 zodiac signs of Vedic astrology. And we shall also borrow in from the 16 Myers-Briggs type indicators of personality into the 27 nakshatras in 12 zodiac signs. So we'll basically bring in the Enneagrams as well as MBTI models into the 27 nakshatras. So there'll be basically 27 videos of each. This is the introduction part of every video. And how we are going to cover that is by taking a standard format. This is for Ashwini Nakshatra, for example, where we are going to discuss the talents, abilities, ambition, and fulfillment in career first. Then we are going to do some SWOT analysis, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to each from a personality perspective. Then we are going to have some keywords which is discussing the different career possibilities for such nakshatras, especially if it's the Lord of the D1 or the D10. Best working relationships it has with other nakshatras, for example, this one has with Kritika, Rohini and Vrikshira. And then we are going to bring in the Enneagram model types, 3 of them, which are closely matching with Ashwini kind of themes which we have discussed here. And later on, we'll also bring in the MBTI, again 3 types, which closely match with Ashwini. So now you can take this as a personality test. If you don't know what your MBTI type is or Enneagram type is, I have covered it in a detailed playlist on this channel in a separate playlist, which gives the description and Excel sheet with the free download link of each and every Excel sheet. And you can find out what your Enneagram type is. You can find out what your MBTI type is and then come to this one. Okay. The rules are basically the same. To begin with, you can start with these 4 basic sets of rules. How do I start? If I have my Vedic astrology chart in front of me, the natal, the Navamsha, the D10, how do I start? Always first see the ascendant nakshatra, be it natal, D9 or D10. That's the first starting point. For empty houses, if your 10th house is empty or your first house is empty, see the cusp of that house and what nakshatra that falls in. That would be also a good start because we are seeing it from a nakshatra point of view here. Yes? Number 3, for intimate relationships, marriage, see 7th house, 5th house, natal as well as D9 and the nakshatras thereof or the planets sitting thereof. Okay. For career talents, see nakshatra of the Lord of the 1st and 10th house in both natal, Navamsha and D10. Compare and contrast. Natal is how you were born. Navamsha is how you turn out as personality later in life, post 32 or 36 years of age. And D10 is what talents, how you will be using the nakshatra talents in your career, in your business, in your job. Right? So this being the basic set of rules and introduction, let's get started. Number 6, Ardra Nakshatra in the heart of Gemini. Now we crossed Mrikshisha, which was the beginning. Ardra falls between 6 degrees 40 minutes of Gemini to 20 degrees of Gemini. So we are in the heart of Gemini. That's the symbol over there. First of all, some basics. It's a Rahu-based nakshatra. It is governed by Rahu, meaning everything you can think of unconventional. Everything you can think of by the way of greed, by the way of I want this at any and all costs. That is Rahu. Extreme amount of focus, extreme amount of out-of-the-box thinking are Rahu nakshatras. Ardra going into Swati, going into Shatbisha. Okay, these 3. 159 code of nakshatras you can see for that. So that's the base of this. And Ardra itself, if you remember the life lesson from the heart of nakshatras, it is using anger and grief as a transformation mechanism. Ardra, think of them as a child. Okay. Think of them as a child who has learned to create and throw a tantrum, throw a fuss. The child which is fussy in public places. I want this till I get it. Throws a big fuss in markets, in malls, for example. That's Ardra. Okay? It will not stop its tantrums till it has it. That is Ardra for you. Talents is analytical skills, problem solving skills, and communication. Gemini, ruled by Mercury, is all about communication. So combine the attributes of Gemini, the young prince, the one who is all wanting for himself, with our Rahu also. It makes for a powerful, mental, out-of-the-box, intellectual idea. Okay? Abilities, they are good in research, they are good in investigation, they are good critical thinking. See, it requires out-of-the-box thinkers. Ardra is the best at out-of-the-box thinking. In a sort of juvenile stage. In Swati, it becomes slightly more mature. Okay? Ambition is to uncover truths, solve complex problems, and communicate ideas. That's the core strength of Ardra Nakshatra. Fulfillment in career, since we are speaking of career in terms of Enneagrams and MBTI, fulfillment in career comes from science, research, investigation, and technology. Whenever you see Rahu-based nakshatra, Swati, even Shatabisha, think technology. These are greatest technologists of our time. The IT guys, the artificial intelligence guys, the coders, the software engineers. Engineers come, a lot of them from Ardra, because it requires the keenness of mind, Mercury, combined with the calculus and the power of mathematical focus, which is Rahu. Okay? So Ardra is very strong engineers. Look at the career, science, research, investigation, technology. Strengths is analytical, they are perceptive, and they are communicative. So you can't fool another person. They are very analytical. They want to know reasons, they want to know the logic, they want to know your perception behind the perception. That kind of a thing. Good, dig deep. Okay? Their weaknesses, they can become overcritical, they can become detached, they can become intense. It's too intense. The energy of Rahu is too intense. It does not leave. It's not an energy that goes away. Okay? Opportunities, research roles, investigative positions, and analytical tasks. Like I said, software people, engineering people, genetic engineering people, any kind of engineering of any sciences, Ardra. Investigations, as in maybe even private investigators. Research roles, PhDs, the ones who sit in labs for 20 years to discover something. That's Ardra. Threats, risk of emotional detachment. See, there is no emotion in this. You see, Gemini is all about mind, and this is within Gemini. Conflicts from criticism. They can get very pissed off, very angry by even the slightest criticism. Rahu does not like criticism. It already has enough on its hands. Burnout from intensity. Therefore, based on this, the keywords become psychology career. These people become psychologists, psychiatrists, because they are investigative. Therapist, mental health professional, counseling career, emotional healing, technology career, engineer, IT professional, there you go, tech industry, all kinds of technology industry is Ardra. Software development, coders, detective career, now this becomes more of a people-oriented thing. Investigator, investigative professional, law enforcement, private investigator. See, the kind of professions. The best working relationships Ardra has is with Mrigshira, supports in research and communication. With Mrigshira is somewhat similar, right? We just finished that. Hasta in Virgo, the sixth one, provides more detailed execution of their tasks. Something like Ardra will give you a beginning point, Hasta will take it forward. Think of it that kind of a working relationship. And this is not an intimate relationship, by the way. I'm talking only working relationship in this series. Jyeshtha Nakshatra, which is in Scorpio, enhances the investigative efforts with intensity and resourcefulness. Jyeshtha is Scorpio, right? So obviously it will provide support for that investigative mindset which Ardra has in work. Now let us tie it into Enneagram types. So going forward, we will see what each one of these Enneagram, when combined with the dominant Ardra Nakshatra in your D1 chart with the 10th Lord in Ardra Nakshatra, or D10 chart with ascendant and or 10th Lord in Ardra Nakshatra. What does it mean? Because you have to combine for narrowing this. There are too many options. Let us narrow them down. So the first Enneagram we are dealing with is type 8, the challenger. Obviously, Ardra likes to challenge. It's a young prince with Rahu sticking in it. The challenger, key traits being self-confident, decisive, willful, and confrontational. These type of challenges are the ones who you find strong Ardra, who have ended up becoming engineers, but now have gone into podcasting, challenging the person to talk, you see. Basic fear, being harmed or controlled by others. Rahu desires independence above at all costs. He's a very individualistic person, which is highest in its peak in Swati. The basic desire is to protect themselves and be in control of their own life and destiny. That's the challenger. Motivation being asserting control, resisting weakness, and ensuring self-reliance. So their group is emotional realness. Best complementary dynamics and best type of career for them will be where they can assert themselves, where they are self-confident, decisive. Okay? So what kind of careers are we talking about? We are talking about detective career, investigator, investigative professional. Now take these words in the broader context of things. Even a podcast person is basically an investigative type of mindset. It may not be called a private investigator. They might not be in law enforcement necessarily. But essentially speaking, they are investigators. All research and analytical tasks, you see the opportunities they have. That's type 8. Okay, so if you're a type 8 and having a dominant Ardra Nakshatra, think of roles which are challenging. A routine, boring flipping burgers in a McDonald's is not going to work for you. Okay, think of it. Next one on our list is type 5. What kind of Enneagram type 5 is it? Type 5 is an investigator. Duh. So they are investigators here. Detective career, investigators, investigative professionals, law enforcement, private investigators. The key traits here being they are perceptive. The type 5 in Enneagram, they are perceptive, they are innovative, they are secretive, and they are isolated. Best PI material. Basic fear being useless, helpless, or incapable. That's what drives them. Basic desire is to be capable and competent. Motivation is gaining knowledge, understanding, and environment. So think of any kind of investigative roles. Investigation may be in the field of science and technology. It can be like a private investigator because this is secretive and isolation type of Enneagram. The next one is type 4. What does type 4 constitute? The type 4 Enneagram is the individualist. Now Rahu, like I said, is the individualist. This is the beginning of your asserting will. The young prince, the young kid who throws tantrums in the mall, or in the backseat of the car. That's Ardra. Key traits is expressive, dramatic, self-absorbed, and temperamental. The basic fear, having no identity or personal significance. They want to assert themselves. I need to throw a tantrum to say who I am. That's Ardra. So the type 4 individualist, which is little more childish in nature, will demand that attention and throw a tantrum. Motivation, expressing individuality, avoiding the mundane, seeking depth and authenticity. Okay? So these kind of individualists will want to seek a career in psychology, therapist, mental health professional, counseling career, because they have to be centered in themselves and they have to have an investigative kind of mindset. Alright? Now let's get into the MBTI types. The first of the MBTI type is ENTJ. Let's see where ENTJ falls and what it does. ENTJ, the commander. Again, they are analysts. You will find the signature everywhere which ties in parallel to the nakshatra itself. So if you are an ENTJ, a commander kind of material, who's bold, imaginative, strong-willed leader, always finding a way or making one for yourself, that is Rahu at its best. Charismatic, confident, efficient, and strategic. This is the energy within us. Don't need to demonize anything. Don't demonize it. Just think of it as a powerful unconventional, unorthodox, maverick. That's ENTJ commander. Okay, so these people will be good at technology careers, IT engineers, IT professionals, the tech industry, the software development industry, so on and so forth, because they are analysts. They want to lead the way. They excel in leadership and management roles. They enjoy challenges in strategic planning. Common fields include business, law, and politics. In this case, in Ardra's specific case, if you are an ENTJ plus Ardra, you are thinking more in software industry. Okay? So that was ENTJ. Second one is INTJ. What does INTJ provide us? He is the architect. So everything which is imaginative, everything which is strategic thinking with a plan to do everything, that is the architect, INTJ. Deeply imaginative, Mercury with Rahu provides that for Ardra. So if you are INTJ plus Ardra, think of these careers, okay, which are listed here. They are independent, decisive, skeptical, and private. Again, private investigation and research. More of research and investigation, these two. Okay? They thrive in roles that require strategic planning for the government, for example, problem solving and independent work. They work best when they are quiet, Ardra people. They need to process a lot of information in their heads, Rahu plus Mercury. Common fields include science, engineering, there you go, strategic management. Alright, that's INTJ. Last one being the ISTP. Let's see what ISTP brings to us in context to Ardra Nakshatra. So if you have Ardra Nakshatra dominant, D1, D10, ascendant, Lord of the 10th in both places, the ISTP is a virtuoso or virtuoso, however you pronounce that. Description: they are bold and practical experimenters. The software engineers, I can see straight away. Masters of all kinds of tools, techniques. They are very analytical, they are practical, they are spontaneous and independent types. Rahu, all characteristics of Rahu. They are very analytical, they are practical, they are spontaneous, and they are very independent. Rahu is a very independent planet or point. ISTPs are practical, enjoy hands-on activities, like the software engineers, like engineers of all kinds, really speaking. It can be civil, electrical, mechanical, instrumentation, whatever. They engage in hobbies that involve tinkering and exploring things, like engineers do. They excel in roles that require technical skills. There you go. Problem solving. Common fields include engineering, again, mechanics, emergency services. So think of all investigative careers. Technology career, tech industry, IT professional, any kind of engineering which requires depth of thinking and analysis. That's for Ardra Nakshatra. Very techie kind of nakshatra. Okay? Think tech if it's Ardra. Think research, think deep investigation of mind in an unconventional sort of fashion. Thinking out of the norms, out of the box, out of the mainstream. That's Ardra. And that's what has got us all this technology, right? I will see you in the next with the 7th one. I think it's Punarvasu after Ardra, because that finishes Gemini and goes towards Cancer. Okay, I'll see you in the next. Meanwhile, take care, be safe, and be happy.